Well, I thought we'd better do a quick video on what the 2.5mm socket actually does on the Harvard type of hand portable. So we're going to do the identical looking models which use the same chassis, all from 1981, the Harvard 410T, which was advertised Christmas 1981 by Kenny Everett. We should have got the Harrier WT2 here, still in its leatherette case. This is one I bought on eBay to do a video in the future, which we haven't got onto yet. I've had so many custom repairs in the time we've got to do CBs is wow. We've got the destruction book as well. That was neatly rolled up in there. But there's not a circuit. No. But it does say it's 2 watts output, which is something. So the only service manual we've got for this chassis is the Alba one. Now this one is in a bit of a sorry state. It's supposed to have a mesh speaker grill here, which is missing. And of course it's supposed to have a back, which is missing. And it's supposed to have an aerial, which is broken. So this is, we've got one, but we need to get a better one sometime when one comes up. So we've got 2. This is one we've already serviced. We did this, I think we did it last year. And I think Mr. Chippy went out on a field test and got 6 miles on it. So we know that works. Now, on this one, it says DC charge socket. On the Harrier, it says 12 volt charge socket. And on the Alba, it says 12 volt extension. So, are these charge only? Because we can't tell from this circuit diagram. The only circuit we've got is for the Alba, and the circuit is in such a bad state because it's a copy of a copy of a copy that we can't actually see that bit of circuit as to how it's wired. So today the plan is to plug, I've made up a little lead, connected it to 12 volts, and Mr. Chippy's going to switch the power supply on. Thank you, Mr. Chippy.
So it hasn't come on because it's clearly not plugged in then.
Oh, would you like to find out why it's not plugged in? I think it goes to that top socket board here. Does it? No? No, you follow it around? No, it doesn't. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to plug my 12 volt lead in to these radios off a normal regulated power supply, but set to 12 volts rather than 13.8. We're going to actually see what's presented across the battery terminals and whether you can actually switch the radio on. In other words, can you power it from this? I think that this will solely charge the radio, certainly on the Harvard 410, and disconnect the actual radio's power. Are you a bit stuck on that, Mr. C?
Yep. Don't know where it goes.
Oh.
Is it off on that set down there?
So, the 4 which are plugged in down here are on. The orange extension lead, are you on? No? No, it's the air conditioner. Right, we'll pause the video and we'll sort this out. Okay, so we've now got power. I've moved the camcorder back because it's gone for a little wander. Crows are enjoying themselves this evening. We have huge crows here, you know. When they're resting, they're fags at the back of the bike sheds. I'm sure they've all got tattoos. Right, here we go. So we can see the meter. Let's prop that up so the camera can see it. Hopefully we've got about 12 volts here. There we go, 12.18, that'll do nicely. So I'll start by plugging it into the Harvard 410. And I'm going to keep the set off. And what should happen is we should have that voltage presented across the battery terminals. So the positive battery terminal is that one, and the negative one, if I can get to that in view, is that one. So if we can see that meter as well, which I think we can, put it there. So across the battery terminals I've got 11.76 volts, which is exactly where we should be. So if I switch the radio on, does it power up? And it does. So you can power it, if you don't have batteries in, you can power it from the 2.5mm socket. And it's positive centre. So the tip is positive and the outer is the negative. So you can power that model that way. I didn't know you could do that, you see. So put that one back together. And we'll now look at the Harrier. Well, these crows are getting louder. That just shorted out the power supply, didn't it?
It did, yeah. But did it do it momentarily though?
I've just opened the battery compartment to make sure, of course there's no great big screwdriver handy, but there we go. It's got the dummy batteries in. If you've never seen dummy batteries, because you've got 1.5 times 8 is 12, plus the 2 dummy batteries to make up the gap, or you put 10 nickel cadmium batteries, usually the rechargeable ones it was made for, and they would also be 12 volts because of 1.2 volt per cell. So let's pop those out for a second. They're usually missing, but they are buyable, purchasable off eBay. So let's look if we plug this in. Is it shutting down?
Seems alright at the moment.
Because it momentarily didn't it?
Yeah, I think it's as it passes the contacts.
So let's now look at whether we've got the voltage on the battery terminals. As I said, I've never looked at this radio. We don't know what bits of it work and what don't. So we have the voltage there. That's fine. Will the radio turn on? Yes, it will turn on. So that proves that you can do the same. But you must never try and run the battery off a power supply. Run the radio off a power supply if it's got batteries in it, because you'd end up charging them, and of course you'd be overcharging them. The charger which was available for these sets was 12, well, it'd be more than 12 volts, it'd be probably 15 to 18 volts at 50 milliamps. Because back in those days, batteries, rechargeable batteries were 500 milliamp hour. And so, you're at 10% of the battery's capacity. So that would be a standard 14-hour charge. It wasn't made to run the radio. So we'll just pop that back in its nappy. That's exceptionally good condition. I'll pop that back in there, and then we'll look at this Alba. Now, just because this is scruffy and broken out doesn't mean we won't be able to check this circuit out. So once again, we'll plug this in, make sure the radio's off. Did it bounce then? I don't know, I didn't hear it.
No.
We'll prop this meter up on its own stand this time. And there's the positive end. There's the negative end. But actually the contact's missing. So there's nothing I can do with that, the contact's missing. But we can see if the radio switches on, and it does switch on from that 2.5mm input. And on this one, in a handy way, it actually shows that the inner is positive and the outer is negative. So although these are for a battery charger, there's no battery charger circuit inside these radios. It's entirely up to this DC input to provide the correct current for charging the batteries, which originally would have been 50 milliamps. So if you're running the radio from an external power supply, they do power up. As long as it's positive inner, you're using a 12 volt power supply, and that power supply needs to be able to deliver 1 amp. So there you are, the Harvard, Alba and Harrier 40 channel walkie-talkies from 1981, exploring what the 2.5mm socket actually does. And I hope that helps some of you in sorting that out. Thanks for watching.